I know what you're thinking. What am I talking about? Let me give you an example. Doing that instead of this. Am I making sense? Let me give you one more example. First, an earlier part of the song for reference. And that same thing, but with a late apex. Just that one quarter note of suspense. I'm going to play that again, with the first clip on the left and the second clip on the right. I'm guessing we're on the same page by now. There's about 1,024 different ways you could do this. The two examples I just used are what's most common in K-pop. On the third chorus, replace the first quarter with a rest. And I say K-pop and not just Dreamcatcher because it really is everywhere. When I first discovered this, one of the many questions I had is, where did this come from? So I started listening for it more, and I started writing a list where I sorted it by the oldest one being on top. Eventually I watched a movie called Human Traffic and heard this. I know this one's quite subtle, but it is there, and it was there in the year 2000. So based on this, I'm guessing it came from hip-hop. If you know of an earlier example of a late apex, I encourage you to post it in the comments. Which brings me to the next topic. Why do I keep calling it a late apex? Well, there's nothing else for me to call it because it doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah, what? Wait, was there a rhythm thing? It sounded
No,
okay.
it just took out a beat.
That hold right there, that hold is so epic.
I tried asking on Reddit if there was a name for this once, and the top answer was no, which came with an extremely condescending rant for some reason. So I guess that means I get to name it, and this is my favorite way to describe it to myself. A late apex in racing is where instead of turning in, you wait first. Kind of like instead of starting the song again, you wait first. Anyway, some other responses when I asked this question were calling it a hesitation, or a delayed attack, or syncopation. Let me explain what those are, just so we're perfectly clear that this is none of those things. We'll start with syncopation. The other two words are actually subsets of syncopation, but anyway. Syncopation is when you get offbeat by shifting an entire phrase. Like in July 7th from Dreamcatcher, the chords in this clip are syncopated. They didn't take any notes out, they shifted everything over. This is different from a late apex because in a late apex, you don't play the thing later, you take the first part of the thing and don't play it at all. And a different part of the song for comparison. See, nothing was moved, they just took part of it out. Delayed attack and hesitation are synonyms. What they both mean is starting your syncopation after 1, instead of at the end of the previous measure. I'll pull in July 7th again because it's actually an example of all three things. An early attack or anticipation would be if we added a pickup and started on 4, but since we start on 2 here, it's a delayed attack / hesitation. Okay, now the fun part. I mentioned there's a lot of different ways you can do this, so I'm just going to play a few more of my favorites and talk about what I like about them. For me, the highlight here is what they don't cut. We hear that for the entire song, but it hits differently here. It's also for a full measure. By contrast, Mayday, for example, demands a much shorter one. That's only a quarter, and both these songs are the same tempo. And if you're wondering if this could be done for a half, instead of just a quarter or for the full measure, that's been done too. You can even do it for 3 quarters. Rewinding to an example from earlier. Another thing I really like is how you can sometimes accomplish this by only removing one note. Check out Fingertip. Compared to earlier in the song, I'm going to play it in the left ear and right ear again take note of the fact that the only difference is a missing drum kick. When I played Love Dive earlier, you might have noticed that its late apex is in the second chorus and not the third. Here's another song that does the same thing. Love Shot by EXO. First, without a late apex for context. And I warn you, this next clip is going to sting.
It's the love shot.
It throws off the balance completely. It's amazing. Okay, another common place for a late apex is halfway through every chorus. Here's my favorite example of this. And I love the way they time it with the high note on this one. And if you're wondering, no, that was not in the original song by 2PM. Here's another that uses it in the same place. It's like the drummer was thrown off by how great the singing is. And then it emphasizes the next part, the hook of all hooks. Okay, one more like this. Scream. Even though Scream is much darker than Apple, they are very similar in this part. The missing drum kick emphasizes what's before it and what's after it. And I think that's a good one to end on. I would love to hear your guys' favorite examples of these, and with that, I will let Scream play us out.
Scream.